Warren Buffett, 6 Powerful Daily Habits That Actually Work. If you turn on the news today, whether you are sitting in a flat in London or a terraced house in Manchester, it feels like everyone is shouting about the next big thing. We are constantly bombarded with advertisements for the latest crypto coin, a secret trading algorithm, or a foolproof, guaranteed way to double your money by next Tuesday. It is completely exhausting, is it not? Especially now, with the cost of living squeezing our wallets, inflation eating away at our purchasing power, and energy bills feeling heavier than ever. In times of economic uncertainty, human nature drives us to look for quick fixes. We want the lottery ticket. We want the overnight success. But what if the actual secret to building wealth, and more importantly, keeping it, is not a secret algorithm at all? What if it is incredibly, almost painfully, boring? Today, we are looking at a man whose net worth is larger than the GDP of several developed nations. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. But we are not going to look at his stock portfolio, his complex derivatives, or his corporate acquisitions. We are going to look at his Tuesday morning routine. Because long before he became a billionaire, long before the media tracked his every move, he was just a man with a very specific set of daily habits. Habits that have withstood the test of time, market crashes, and recessions. Quick disclaimer before we dive into the deep end. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is purely for educational purposes, to look at the psychology and the foundational habits of highly successful people. Always do your own thorough research before putting your hard-earned pounds into any investment vehicle. So, if you are tired of the get-rich-quick noise on social media, and you genuinely want to build a financial and personal foundation that lasts for decades, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let us completely break down Warren Buffett 6 most powerful daily habits. Habit number 1. Treating knowledge like compound interest. When someone once asked Warren Buffett what the ultimate key to success was, he did not point to a Bloomberg terminal or a complex financial model. He pointed to a massive stack of books, trade journals, and reports, and he said, "Read 500 pages like this every day. That is how knowledge works. It builds up, like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it." Now, I know exactly what you are thinking. 500 pages? I barely have time to read the ingredients on my cereal box before rushing out the door for the morning commute. The exact number of pages is not the point here. The underlying principle is what matters. Buffett spends up to 80% of his waking day reading and thinking. But he is not just doom-scrolling through a social media feed, looking at viral videos, or reading sensationalist clickbait headlines. He goes straight to the primary sources. He spends hours upon hours dissecting corporate income statements, analyzing financial reporting metrics, and understanding the core, fundamental mechanics of how a business actually operates. He reads dry, heavily detailed balance sheets the way some people read gripping thriller novels. Why does he do this? Because he wants to understand the underlying truth of a situation, not the general public's emotional opinion of it. He is looking for facts, not forecasts. In a modern world where absolutely everyone is reacting to the latest push notification on their phone, taking an hour a day to read deeply gives you an immense, almost unfair advantage. Think about the concept of compound interest in finance, where your interest earns interest, creating an exponential curve of wealth over time. Knowledge works in the exact same way. When you read a book on psychology today and a book on economics next month, the ideas begin to connect. You start seeing patterns that other people miss. You develop what Charlie Munger, the late business partner of Buffett, called a latticework of mental models. If you want to apply this in the UK today, start incredibly small. Try swapping 30 minutes of evening television or scrolling on your phone for 30 minutes of focused, uninterrupted reading. Whether it is a book on history, a detailed sector analysis, or a classic biography, it slows down your thinking and drastically improves your decision-making. Over a single year, that is hundreds of hours of accumulated knowledge. That is how you build a mental database that pays dividends for the rest of your life. Habit. Number 2. The art of the ruthless. No, there is a famous story about a dinner party attended by both Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, long before they became close friends. The host asked everyone at the table to write down on a piece of paper the single most important factor that contributed to their success. Without consulting each other, both Buffett and Gates wrote down the exact same word: focus. Buffett famously expanded on this by saying, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Let us pause and think about our modern work culture. We actually pride ourselves on being impossibly busy. We wear burnout like a badge of honor. We say yes to extra projects at the office that do not serve our careers, yes to every social invitation out of guilt, yes to random side hustles that drain our energy, until our diaries are completely overflowing and we have no time left for ourselves. Buffett takes the exact opposite approach. He fiercely, almost ruthlessly, protects his time. He operates on a vital concept called the circle of competence. He knows exactly what he understands, and infinitely more importantly, he knows what he does not understand. If a trendy new tech company goes public, and absolutely everyone in the City of London is rushing to buy shares because it is the hot new thing, Buffett will happily, comfortably sit on the sidelines and watch if he does not understand the underlying business model. He feels zero FOMO, fear of missing out. This habit is entirely about focus and opportunity cost. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are implicitly saying no to something that actually matters. To master this, you can use the 5/25 rule, a strategy often attributed to the philosophy of Buffett. You write down your top 25 career or life goals. Then, you force yourself to circle your top 5. Those 5 are your priority. What about the other 20? You do not work on them when you have spare time. You avoid them at all costs. They are your avoid-at-all-cost list because they are the shiny distractions that will prevent you from ever achieving the top 5. Saying no does not make you arrogant. It makes you highly intentional. The next time an opportunity arises, whether it is a new project, an investment pitch, or a social commitment, force yourself to ask, does this genuinely align with my long-term goals, or is it just a shiny distraction? Habit. Number 3. Sleeping for success. We live in an era that absolutely glorifies exhaustion. You open a professional networking site like LinkedIn, and you are immediately bombarded with the toxic hustle culture mantra. Sleep when you are dead. Grind 24/7. Join the 5 a.m. club. There is a pervasive, dangerous myth in our society that to be exceptionally wealthy or successful, you must sacrifice your health, your peace of mind, and your rest. Warren Buffett entirely rejects this nonsense. He is fiercely protective of getting his full 8 hours of sleep every single night. He has famously stated that he has absolutely no desire to get to work at 4 in the morning, and he likes to sleep. Why is this biological necessity so incredibly crucial for building wealth? Because financial success, especially in investing and business strategy, is not about how many hours you clock at a desk. It is entirely about the quality of the decisions you make during the hours you are awake. Neuroscience tells us that sleep deprivation literally destroys your executive cognitive function. It severely impairs your judgment, makes you highly reactive to stress, and drastically increases your emotional impulsivity. It mimics the cognitive decline of being legally drunk. If you are exhausted, you are far more likely to panic sell your investments during a temporary market dip, or buy into a foolish, hyped-up financial trend because your brain lacks the energy to critically evaluate the risk. Buffett knows that his primary asset, his ultimate moneymaker, is his mind. By ensuring he is fully rested, he maintains emotional stability and rationality, traits he considers vastly more important than sheer IQ when it comes to investing. The stock market is essentially a device for transferring money from the impatient and emotional to the patient and rational. If you want to perform at a high level over decades, you have to completely reframe how you view rest. You must treat sleep not as a luxury for the weak, but as the foundational investment in your own biological infrastructure. Turn off the screens an hour before bed. Stop answering non-urgent work emails at 11 o'clock at night, and get some proper rest. A clear, well-rested head is your greatest competitive advantage in a world full of chronically fatigued people. Habit. Number 4. Radical frugality in a flashy world. We live in a society that is fundamentally obsessed with outward status symbols. People are financing luxury cars on PCP deals they can barely afford, wearing designer labels they bought on high-interest credit cards, and upgrading their perfectly functional smartphones every 12 months just to project an image of wealth to people they do not even like. Contrast this with Warren Buffett. Here is a man worth well over $100 billion, yet he still lives in the exact same 5-bedroom stucco house in Omaha, Nebraska that he bought in 1958 for just $31,500. He does not drive a fleet of Lamborghinis or Ferraris. He prefers to drive a modestly priced Cadillac, and he keeps it for years. For breakfast, he routinely drives himself to the local McDonald's drive-thru, famously spending no more than about £3.50 on a sausage muffin, adjusting his order downwards if the stock market is having a bad morning. This is not about being cheap or a miser. It is about a profound understanding of the true utility of money. Buffett understands that money is a tool for freedom and independence, not a tool for showing off. The brilliant financial author Morgan Housel puts it perfectly in his book. Wealth is what you do not see. Wealth is the luxury cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the first-class flight upgrades declined. Wealth is financial assets, stocks, bonds, property, that have not yet been converted into depreciating consumer stuff. In the UK, it is incredibly easy to fall into the vicious trap of lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep. You get a promotion and a pay rise, and suddenly you convince yourself you need a nicer flat, a better car on finance, pricier holidays, and expensive dinners out. Before you know it, your income has doubled, but your savings rate has stayed exactly the same, or worse, dropped. The habit of radical frugality teaches us to violently break that cycle. Keep your overheads low. When your income increases, do not immediately upgrade your lifestyle. Instead, upgrade your investments. Maximize your stocks and shares ISA allowance. Build a robust emergency fund. By ignoring the deafening noise of consumerism and rejecting the need to keep up with the Joneses, you retain the actual capital needed to build genuine generational wealth. Rich is having a high income and loud clothes. Wealth is having options, freedom, and quiet confidence. Habit. Number 5. The 10-year horizon. If there is one single quote that defines the entire investment philosophy and worldview of Warren Buffett, it is this: if you are not willing to own a stock for 10 years, do not even think about owning it for 10 minutes. In our hyper-fast-paced world today, our collective attention spans have been shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. We demand instant gratification in every aspect of our lives. We want next-day delivery, instant streaming, and overnight wealth. People download gamified trading apps on their phones and treat the global stock market like a casino. They engage in day trading penny stocks, chasing the latest cryptocurrency pumps, looking at red and green graphs that fluctuate by the minute, and letting severe anxiety dictate their financial actions. Buffett plays a completely different, much quieter game. He operates on a multi-decade timeline. When he buys a portion of a business, he does not see a ticker symbol moving on a screen. He considers himself a part owner of that actual physical company. He looks for companies with a durable competitive advantage, what he calls an economic moat, like strong brand loyalty or pricing power. And once he finds it, he simply waits. He lets the management team do their jobs, and he lets the mathematical magic of compounding do the heavy lifting over years and decades. He once famously won $1 million bet against a group of elite hedge fund managers. He bet that a simple, boring, low-cost S&P 500 index fund would outperform their complex, high-fee trading strategies over a 10-year period. He did absolutely nothing for a decade, and he won by a landslide. But this 10-year horizon habit extends far beyond just buying shares. It is a profound framework for life. When you are learning a new skill, do not ask yourself if it will pay off and get you a raise by next month. Ask if mastering this skill will make you indispensable in your industry in a decade. When you are building a business, or even cultivating personal relationships, play long-term games with long-term people. Shifting your mindset from "how can I make a quick buck today" to "where do I want my life to be in 2036" instantly eliminates 99% of the daily noise, stress, and anxiety. Habit number 6. Mastering communication. You might naturally expect a financial genius like Warren Buffett to attribute his unparalleled success to complex mathematical models, macroeconomic forecasting, or an innate understanding of global supply chains. Yet, when asked by students about the most important investment a young person can make, he does not point to real estate, gold, or index funds. He points directly to investing in yourself. Specifically, your ability to communicate effectively. If you were to walk into his modest office in Omaha, you would notice something surprising on the walls. You will not see his undergraduate degree from the University of Nebraska. You will not see his master's degree from the prestigious Columbia Business School. The only diploma he proudly displays on his office wall is a small certificate from a Dale Carnegie public speaking course. In his early 20s, Buffett was utterly, paralyzingly terrified of public speaking. He would physically avoid classes that required presentations, but he was self-aware enough to know that to achieve his massive ambitions, he had to overcome this crippling fear. He paid $100 for the Dale Carnegie course, and to this day, he credits it as the most important and high-returning investment he ever made. His reasoning for this is beautifully simple, but profoundly true. If you cannot communicate, it is like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens. You can have the greatest brain in the world, but you have to be able to transmit it. You can have the most brilliant mind in your company. You can spot market trends that absolutely no one else sees. You can design the perfect product. But if you cannot clearly articulate your ideas, if you cannot persuade investors, if you cannot inspire a team, and if you cannot build trust with a client, your true potential is severely capped. Improving your written and verbal communication instantly increases your professional value by at least 50%. Whether it is writing a clear, compelling email that gets straight to the point, delivering a presentation without relying on messy slides, or simply negotiating a better salary with confidence, clear communication acts as a massive force multiplier for your intellect. So, read broadly to build your vocabulary, write clearly to organize your thoughts, and practice speaking to build your confidence. It is the one single asset that no market crash, no recession, and no inflation can ever take away from you. At the end of the day, When you strip away the billions of dollars and the media headlines, Warren Buffett is not playing a fundamentally different game than the rest of us. He is simply playing it with a much longer timeline and vastly superior discipline. Reading deeply every single day to compound your knowledge. Ruthlessly protecting your time and learning to say no to distractions. Prioritizing your sleep to ensure your mind is sharp and rational. Living well below your means to avoid the trap of consumerism. Thinking in decades rather than days to harness the power of time. And continuously refining your ability to communicate your ideas to the world. There are absolutely no gimmicks here. There are no secret trading bots. There are no VIP shortcuts. Just solid, unglamorous, relentless consistency. So, the question is not whether these habits work. History has proven that they do. The question is, which of these 6 habits are you going to start applying tomorrow morning? Let me know down in the comments below. I make sure to read every single one. If you found value in this deep dive, hitting the like button helps the channel out tremendously, and please consider subscribing for more content on the psychology of wealth, long-term thinking, and personal success. Thank you so much for your time. Stay focused on the long term, and I will see you in the next one.